Okay, here we are, and I can hear the lead-in running on the public view. You're running about 10 seconds behind where I am. I keep looking at my microphone. I apologize. Microphone's over here. If you see me looking over there, it's because I'm talking to it. I should be talking to the camera. Yeah, welcome back. This is our first time or our second time back, and I am currently trying to get everything lined up here and everything working well. I tried a new lead in today, and we are now just kind of seeing what happens as far as the chat and everything goes. I apologize for the chat window there at the beginning. No one's online. Today's topic is why teachers teach. And so that is what we're going to be looking at. Now, I've noticed I am picking up the lag recording from that it's currently going out live. And like I said, there's about a 10-second delay in what I'm doing, which I'm not really sure why. But we will continue to function as best we can. You may see me messing with some things or hear my mouse on the desk like right now as I try to figure out how best to deal with the whole volume situation. In fact, let's just do this. Well, that didn't take care of it. All right, so why do teachers teach? That's really kind of what we're talking about today. My question is simply, you know, what is it that drives us to do what we do? Um, I will tell you, in my wildest dreams, I never imagined that I would be spending time in a high school doing what I'm doing. I spent a lot of time trying to get out of high school. My experience as a student has not been a great one. In fact, it was pretty dismal. And the idea, like I said, of going back to school in a high school in any capacity was almost terrifying for me. I did not want to do that. In fact, there were times after I graduated, well, after I left high school, that I would wake up in the middle of the night in a terrified state because I was in the middle of a dream where I was sitting in class listening to something. Maybe a test was coming up. Maybe there was an assignment due. Maybe there was whatever it was. I was in school, and part of me knew that I was done with school. I was done with high school, and I needed to be out. But I couldn't wake up. I was stuck, and I couldn't get out. And I tried, and I tried to shake myself awake. I tried to throw myself around in my dream, and I couldn't wake up. It was a panic setting, and I finally, when I would wake up, it would just be this horrible panic. And I'm telling you, it was a scary, scary thing for me. Um, that kind of took a few years to go away. It didn't just go away like in 6 or 7 months. It took years for that to change and finally leave my sleep life. So a lot of that's because when I was in school, like I told you, I was not a very good student. I was dyslexic. And during that, I still am. I say was, but I was dyslexic, and they didn't know what to do with it. I had to learn how to cope on my own. So my experience of school was not the best. I had teachers who I think now looking back on it were very understanding, or they tried to be. But at the time, I felt like they didn't understand. I felt like they didn't get it, and they didn't. No one knew a lot about dyslexia back then. So I was kind of in a stuck situation where I was really smart, but my grades did not show it. And the pressure that I felt at home and the pressure I felt at school was immense. The people I ran with were incredibly intelligent, valedictorian, salutatorian, and always performing at high, high levels in school. And myself, D's and F's, and occasionally a C here and there. Did great in my electives, but it was a rough time. So why be a teacher? Because I certainly didn't want to walk back into a building and do all that. Well, I didn't get there immediately, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But I do know that one of the things that drives all of the teachers that I have seen, and all of the teachers that I work with, one of the things that drives them is the fact that they are passionate about working with young people. For me, I found a passion in working with ninth graders, and we'll talk about that in a little while. But for teachers, it's all about helping young people be successful. And it's that desire to maintain and help with that success that drives teachers to do what they do. It's interesting that I found teaching, we've just already discussed, it was not on my radar for a long, long time. I was a minister for 21 years, and I took a break, during which time I became a substitute teacher. You'll find that I have a very, very strong passion for those who choose to be guest teachers. Now, I know the term substitute is used a lot. I don't like the word substitute. It gets cut down to sub, and I don't think it's meant to be derogatory. It certainly doesn't give the credit necessary to those individuals who choose to give of their life and their time, because let me tell you, I don't know of too many districts who actually pay guest teachers what they're actually worth. So with that in mind, I think it's important to really look at what guest teachers do and understand that there's a passion there as well. When I was a guest teacher, my desire was to maintain the class flow as close as possible as to what they were used to, and that required me really searching for positions in advance. At one point, I was booked as far as 2 and 3 weeks in advance in my district, and was able to fill those roles, and I could go meet with those teachers after school was out and find out what I would be teaching when I was in their class once their time rolled around and I had their classrooms that I was filling for. This allowed me to walk in and know what I was doing. It allowed me to walk in and know what I was going to say. It allowed me to know the material. And it allowed also for students to continue their learning process. And I was part of that success equation as a guest teacher. I am fully aware not every guest teacher looks at their job that way. I have been a little amazed at how many do not. I always just assumed that every guest teacher went in and attacked the work the same way that I did, and I just assume that's what they're going to do anytime I need one. But during that time as a guest teacher, I discovered I really enjoyed the act of teaching. And I know it's different, and it's very different. When making the transition, that was a tough thing. I'm sure we'll do some videos on that. But that transition, it was not an immediate thing. It wasn't, hey, I'm a guest teacher, so that means I will be a great teacher. That's not how it worked. When you're teaching in someone else's classroom, it's a very different situation than when you're teaching in your own classroom. So you're kind of faced with some pretty important transitions and things that you have to learn to do. That was a phone call. Sorry about that. All right. So let's talk a little bit about some of the past teachers that I've had. And feel free to jump in on the chat down here below. Oh, hey there. I know it's got a couple of thumbs up, and I'm glad that you can see something. I was a little worried about that. We're just going to talk a little bit about, again, more about why teachers teach. And yes, you are definitely in for the drawing for the first days of school here. I'll be giving this away coming up in just a couple. And I'll be picking from all the names here at random who chime in. If you're the only one, you'll be getting a copy, and I'll find a way. Drop me your email, please. Let me put that up real quick, where you can send your email so that we can set up how to get the book, because right now it's looking very likely like you might actually be getting one. Let me see here. Let's see here. All right. Well, appears I've dropped signal on my keyboard. You know, it's kind of interesting. All these things on these live deals. Like I said, it's my second live one. I apologize. It's not as smooth as I like. Um, it is a little frustrating from time to time, making sure that everything is up and going. Let's see here. Wow. Absolutely. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So here, if you will email your email address to this, all right, there we go. You can email me there and be eligible for the free book. We'll work out smoother ways to do giveaways in the future. Again, thank you for the double thumbs up. I appreciate that. Talking about past teachers, you know, I have several teachers who had a major impact on me, and it's a lot of it's because they just put up with my crap. I dished out a bunch. I was a very creative misbehavior when I was in school, and a lot of times, one of the reasons I am so patient, I've had other teachers say, "How are you so patient with so much misbehaving in your classroom from time to time?" And I look at it kind of as payback. And it's kind of like I earned what I'm getting because of my behavior. And so I just accept it that way. Um, so that's just kind of how that works. I have some teachers who had a huge impact, and a lot of teachers who I'm still in contact with even now today. Now, one of the teachers that had a huge impact on me, he really kind of has formed my style in the classroom. He was a tough teacher. He was even. He was very. I mean, everything he did was fair. Everything he did was equal across the board, and he was funny. And he was kind of grumpy. He wasn't an old guy. He was just a grumpy young guy. And there's a few stories that I could tell about that, but at this point, we'll get to that some other time. But another teacher that had a lot of impact on me was my theater teacher. She was an amazing person. She knew how to connect, and a lot of theater and performing arts teachers, they do connect in a unique way with their students that other teachers are not able to. Had an English teacher my junior year who was able to connect like a performing arts teacher, and she uh, really challenged me to read more, and she gave me things that I enjoyed reading. I remember there was a book called Alas Babylon that we read, and it was something that really just grabbed me. And then she allowed me to read the senior book, 1984, and that grabbed me and really it's built a love for dystopian novels and dystopia. So these teachers who took a very special interest in me, they are the ones who I remember. They're the ones who connected. They're the ones who got through my "I'm going to disrupt your class any way I can," and really opened up my mind to learning. And they opened up paths to success that I didn't know were even possible for me. And that is sort of where I am now. I'm in a place I never expected to be. My theater teacher, Mrs. Miller, she told me over and over and over while I was a minister and even before, after I'd gotten out of high school, I should look at being a teacher. And I just was like, no way, no way. There's no way I'm going back to school. There's no way. I mean, I'm not going to walk back into a high school building ever. I am done. Well, here we are. So after that time of being a guest teacher in this district, I finally was picked up full time as a teacher. And we're getting some comments here. Hey, I'm willing to ship it overseas. It was fine with me. If you want to, we can work it out. If you've got a way to do that, it's not a problem. I think it's one of the most important things to change. Oh, definitely. I agree with you so much on that. That is and it's a huge thing. And I think a lot of times, a lot of teachers, especially the younger teachers I'm working with, don't realize the impact that they have. They just don't see it. And I think they know it's there because they've been through it. But one of the biggest problems I think that's happened with society as a whole is that we want to see immediate results. We want to see things immediately. And I've been working with teenagers now for more than half of my life, not as a teacher, but like I said, as a minister first and then now. So for more than half of my life, that's 25 years. And it just dawned on me that that's the case. And I start looking back, and I was gifted with a moment this past week where I got to spend some really quality time with a student I had back in the 90s when I was a minister. And he and I had a great conversation, great visit, and it was such an uplifting thing to sit there after he had left and just kind of reflect and decompress after that conversation and unpack what all we had discussed, to look back and just think, wow, the the impact that a teacher has lasts a lifetime. And since that day, and that was the 26th, I think, and since the 26th, it's been in my mind a lot, that lasting impact. Um, the teacher who challenged me to read, she it wasn't really a challenge. That was the great thing. If you challenged me, I probably wouldn't have done it. What she did was find things I was interested in, and she found books that had those kind of things in it, and she was just good at that, really good at that. I try to do the same thing with my students. I don't know how successful I am with it, but the only way to do that is having those conversations about what they're interested in, the things that they're doing, things that are going on in their lives. And I have a really broad base of knowledge when it comes to types of literature. And I'm no expert by any means. And I probably do not fit the stereotype of most literature slash English teachers. But I do have that base, and I'm able to recommend things. I have recommended some things for students to read, and they say they have, and I hope they do. But being involved in a student's life, not just in your classroom, but in the hallways, in the lunchroom, being a presence in their life is so important. I try to do grocery shopping in the area where my school is because I know that the chances are high that I may run into families and students. And one of the things that kind of concerns me is how some of the younger teachers are reluctant to be seen in public by their students. I don't understand that mindset. If you've read anything on my blog, and if you've seen any of the other uh, things that I've written or talked about, then you know what a strong impact that teachers have had throughout my community on me as well. When I was young, it was not unusual for a teacher to pull up outside my yard if I was outside mowing the lawn, and they might even ask me to mow their lawn. Or if I was in the process of wreaking havoc in their class, they just get out of their car, come knock on the door, and have a chat with my parents. That's the way parent conferences worked a lot when I was growing up. And I live in a very large city. I live in Houston, Texas, and this is not like a rural, small town setting. But it was a way teachers stayed in touch, and we did see our teachers in the community a lot, and that had an impact because that meant education was everywhere. I think when you confine education to the building and only the building, and you compartmentalize it like that, you end up not using it in other places because you're not in that compartment at the time. So I really try to find ways to make contact, natural contact, just organic contact outside of the classroom and outside of the school building, if at all possible. So, like I said, it's not unusual for students to see me in the grocery stores around their area, or even out, just kind of out walking or exercising in the area or something like that, when I have that time and ability. So why do teachers teach? Wow, yeah. Uh, it certainly isn't for the pay. We can talk about that all day long. Now, honestly, though, I'm making more now as a teacher than I was as a minister, so I actually got a raise when I jumped up into teaching. I also ended up with a retirement situation, a retirement fund, some things that I did not have before. So everything was kind of an improvement for me. I understand and can see the frustration of teachers who have started off at one level of pay and not had any increase much at all over the last 15 or 20 years. I see that. I understand that thoroughly. I lived it for a while voluntarily, but as a teacher, you don't really have that ability to, I don't know, change those things on your own. You can't just walk in and ask for a raise from your boss. It just doesn't work that way. One of the things I do want to start talking about over the next, probably the next 6 months or so, you'll see some videos pop up that will address how other people see teachers and try to educate just the general public as to what teachers do and some of the why. Um, there is a misconception out there. I don't know how it is where you are. I don't know how it is where anyone who's watching this is. I have found it interesting that so many people believe that teachers are teachers are paid for a 12-month job and only work 9 months, plus a ton of vacation time, etc. Well, it's just not true. My contract is a 9-month contract. Now, they pay me throughout 12 months, but the contract is a 9-month contract, and then they stretch that pay over 12 months. It is not a matter of, oh, you get 3 months off. And let me tell you about those months off. We have training we go to, a lot of training throughout the summer that we go to, and it's voluntary training. Voluntary training. We go to training because we are asked to, and it is strongly recommended that we go. You are correct. They can't tell us to be there on off time, but we go. We know it's good, and a lot of times it's good training. I mean, that's the thing. I have not been to a training where I haven't been able to pull something useful out of it. Now, sometimes it's harder to find those nuggets of gold within what's being presented. Excuse me, with what's being presented, but they're there. And I have yet to go to a training where I haven't been able to find something that I can take and use and improve my skill set as a teacher. So that happens during the summer as well, and it happens sporadically. And yes, we wish we had a full open time. I look at my friends who are in all kinds of jobs. I got friends who are lawyers. I've got friends who work as computer programmers. I got friends who do just a myriad of different things of what we would call normal jobs. And honestly, I like what I do. I make less than they do, and that is fine with me. I don't have a big problem as far as the pay end of teachers. What I have a problem with is the lack of respect that so many people seem to have for teachers. And I think some of that deals with the fact that I think there's this misconception that teachers think they know everything. We don't, and I don't pretend to, and I certainly don't want to come across as if I do ever, even especially in situations like this. I do hope that as technology progresses, we get to where we can actually have conversations and maybe even multiple video screens in these type of broadcasts. That would be awesome. But it is what it is now, and I can look over here at the chat window, and I pick up from that and do what we can. I hope that you've enjoyed this broadcast. I think we're going to kind of start winding it down. We've been on now for it's 11:30. I've started a little late because of some technical difficulties. I will be doing another live broadcast sometime in the next month. Watch for that. We'll post it when it's going to happen. It'll probably be on a Saturday. The only reason it's on a Thursday today is because of the holidays. And like I said, I am not sticking with my usual schedule of posting. Do want to, catch everyone up who might just be new to this channel. One of the things that I do is I post a daily vlog. Now, I made a commitment to myself to do this through the entire school year, just this school year. I probably will not be doing a daily entry like I've been doing for this entire year. I probably will stop doing that at the end of this year and go to a more reasonable production schedule in which we can up the quality of the videos that we're putting out and maybe give a little more lengthy information than what I've been doing. The daily lesson vlog that I've been doing is also accompanied by one informational video a week. Those usually pop up on Wednesday. And so we have a total of 6 videos a week that have been going up. And so far we haven't missed a one. Now these are the holiday weeks, the holiday weekends, and so things change a little bit during this time. I managed to put up one a week last week all the way through Friday, even though Friday was a holiday. I threw up a couple of information videos here and there, and we're doing this live broadcast. And I have a massive recording day coming up here pretty soon. I'm hoping to record 20 different videos or more, and then begin the editing process so that we can have them in the queue on the computer, and I can just upload them on Wednesdays and as needed for other events and other things. That's the process right now. And also in the works is a new channel. Now, I talked about this a while back, and now we have it in written form. We've got topics, we've got things we're working on. This new channel is going to be aimed at teenagers and students who are in high school to help them achieve success. It'll be a great dovetailing with this channel as well, in the fact that it just will present some ways that can help students succeed. And I hope that that goes well, and we'll keep you posted on that also. Who knows, you might want to share it with some students in the future. So this is it. I have enjoyed it. It's been fun. I enjoy learning with you. I enjoy teaching with you, and together we can and will take over the world.